Welcome back to Bell, Ohio in part 3 of my gravel race bike optimization series. In this final part of the series, we're going to talk about how I extended the capacity of my rear derailleur to handle a larger range cassette. This comes into play when you're in single track races that involve very steep gradients, sometimes up to 25-30%. Even if those pitches are short, it helps to have some extra gearing to get you up and over, still able to use your preferred cadence. So check out how we did that in the next video. All right, so continuing with the theme of optimization, I can't do any more with those wax chains today. They just need to dry overnight. Let that chain wax really just sink its way into the rollers for full penetration. Let's talk about my drivetrain choices a little bit here. I've been running this FSA Energy Modular Hollowtech crankset for about 5 years now because I love the range that it gives me. It has a 46 tooth big ring and a 30 tooth small ring. So typically when you pair that with a wide range rear cassette, you get those nice low ratios for climbing. These are actually my road set of wheels that I'm not going to be using for gravel. For my race gravel setup, I'm going to run these WTB I-25 rims. They've got this really nice wide 25 millimeter internal rim width with a 30 millimeter external rim width. And this year I've chosen to go with Schwalbe. On the rear, I'm going to run the 2.1 Thunderbird, which has this, pretty much minimal file tread down the middle. More of your rolling resistance is attributed to the rear tire because there's more weight over the rear wheel and rear tire. So this minimal tread really is going to help me roll along quite a bit faster. You don't need a whole lot of tread in the back either in gravel. There will be some very steep climbs, 20% at times, but as long as you stay seated and keep some traction to the rear tire, I don't think I'm gonna spin this one out. Little bit of a shoulder lug just as you head into turns. On the front, I do have a very light, but also a little bit more aggressive Rocket Ron, also in a 2.1 inch width. So both of these tires are roughly 54 millimeter, as millimeter metric is a little bit more common phrase when you're talking about gravel tires. These do have more of a pronounced center tread and larger lugs on the side so that you can lean this front tire into the corners and keep traction, which is obviously high priority in gravel racing. With that being said, of course, when you're in sections of gravel that's just loose over loose, the tread really doesn't make much of a difference anyway. You really just have to control your body position and keep your body weight centered over the bike. Sometimes you're leaning the bike while you're staying vertical more than you're leaning in tandem like you would on a road bike. Now, gravel can mean different things to different regions, and within Ohio, gravel doesn't always mean just nicely graded gravel. There's going to be plenty of mud, dirt, and just general off-road single track grass as well. So in the past, from what I've experienced, I think that this tread's going to come in handy. I have last season used this 11 through 34 tooth cassette. I'm not as concerned about having a minimal change in the number of teeth between each cog like I would be, let's say, in time trial, where I find that to be much more advantageous. On a gravel setup, I want to have the widest range that I can possibly fit. And since I run an Ultegra rear derailleur from let's say late 2017, 2018, its max tooth capacity is officially rated at 32 teeth. Because Shimano is fairly conservative with their estimates, I know that I can fit this 34. I did that last year without any shifting issues whatsoever. One thing that I did learn though, and I would hope to implement with my wisdom this year from the GPS 100, any of these races that involve single track, having more than just that 30 to 34 granny gear is going to be helpful. One thing that I learned from the GPS 100 race that I did 2 years ago that is included in this 8 race gravel series is that there is a lot of single track, and you'll come up to pitches that are 25%, 35%. I mean, it might only be a few feet, but having that extra range really comes in handy. For me, it was just a matter of developing cramps in my legs because I just couldn't stay on any sort of preferred cadence, and I was needing to unclip because I was losing my momentum. So if I can maintain momentum just by spinning that ratio with the 40 tooth, I think it's really going to help me survive into the later stages of the event where I've really got to drop the hammer on the flatter, faster sections. So how can I practically plan to apply that wisdom this year? Well, for starters, with an 11 through 40 tooth cassette, this is a Summer Race cassette that I actually haven't used since 2020 when I did my Eversting. And like I said, if this only accommodates an 11 through 34, how am I going to accomplish that without exceeding the max capacity? One of my favorite products, and probably the internet's worst kept secret, is the Wolf Tooth Road Link, which is basically a derailleur extender. So it takes the medium cage that you would find in a typical road rear derailleur and essentially turns it into a long cage derailleur. These are not obsolete, but they've become less popular in 2023 just because there are so many gravel specific options and a lot of people are bodging mountain bike rear derailleurs with their shifters. But this cost $21 in 2018. It's a patented design and it really delivers on its ability to extend the derailleur capacity. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna get the gravel wheel set onto the bike. I'm gonna get the Wolf Tooth Road Link derailleur extender connected to the frame, and then I'll connect the derailleur to this. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to check if anything works until tomorrow because like I said, I don't have a functional chain right now, but it is nice to see that my bottom bracket still spins very smoothly with the exception of hitting this extra front derailleur cable that I still need to fine tune as well. So just to put things into perspective, that is currently an 11 through 25 road rear cassette. And that is my Stairway to Heaven 11 through 40. Now I probably forgot to mention that because I'm going to be mounting that brand new wax chain, I didn't want to start off with any contaminants. So my chain rings are very clean, and in the same method that I used the mineral spirits and the degreaser and the acetone, I cleaned this cassette to within an inch of its life. Okay, time to get that road link on here. So first thing we'll have to do is just use, I believe probably a 5mm Allen key just to remove the rear derailleur. I guess aspects of this installation won't be completely accurate since I don't have a chain. So you'll just have to use your imagination. Just get a little bit of grease for the road link bolt. And again, it's going to be that 5mm Allen key or hex key. That's just going to screw in directly in place of where the derailleur was. So besides the absence of my chain, the only thing left to do is that there's a little shelf on the back of that road link that basically serves as the same shelf as the derailleur hanger. I've already got my B tension screw pretty much wound all the way in, but one thing that it helps to do is to pull that jockey wheel down just a little bit further so that you have clearance for your largest cog. And it also keeps a little bit more chain tension I'm gonna have to use a longer chain because of the fact that I've got a much larger rear cog now. So it helps the tension so you don't get quite as much chain slap that could ultimately lead to dropping your chain, which never happens at a good time. Really, there is no good time to drop your chain. Anyway, this is as far as I can take it tonight. This is about as much presentation as I can do still under my COVID-cation. I think my brain's a little frazzled, so we'll pick back up when I'm ready to mount that chain. So good morning. It's about 8:30 the next day. Got my coffee. We have our wax from the previous day, which is now solid as a rock again. But like I said, it seems like we still have well over 400 grams of that. So I don't know if I've got maybe 30 chains worth to do, but this is pretty hilarious. Our 11-speed chain that is now completely dry could be used as a flag. It is so stiff. So what we've got to do now is go through the process of basically just quote unquote breaking each link to get it mobile. I have used this chain in the past with that 30 to 46 front ring and the 11 through 40 in the rear, but it was on a different bike. This current bike has slightly longer chain stays, so I don't know if it'll be a little short. My gut feeling on the other bike is that I might have had it actually a link too long, so it could be perfect, but I guess we're gonna break the links here and see how it all sizes up. This is actually pretty tough to remove. There we go. I can definitely say that I would not have come up with this idea on my own. Beyond the fact that I'm not a chemical engineer, at least at this point, this does not seem to offer the lowest possible rolling resistance. It honestly feels like I just ruined a perfectly good chain. But I have faith. If it's good enough for Filippo Ganna, it's good enough for me. Although maybe he just has 460 watts of fury to bend these links. I can assure you of one thing. I have no hesitation about touching this, and I have no residue in my hands. Beyond the little bit of wax that's falling off, it is completely clean. It's funny taking it out of the wax and letting it dry. It didn't actually appear to be very well coated. I had reservations about just leaving it. I wanted to put it back in and maybe try to get the temperature lower, but this is coated. Okay, so we bent it all up. Let's get it on the bike, see if it's the right size. So I've got my quick link here, and I didn't go through the process of waxing the quick link. I just didn't want to lose it in there. I suppose I could have put it on the picture wire as well, but the way that you're supposed to kind of refresh this chain wax after 200 miles is with a drip wax. So just for the quick link, I think that's going to be adequate just to drop it on that one link. All right, so I've got that halfway engaged. I think I just have to smash on the pedals. And for whatever reason, every time I need to do this, I've got bare feet. All right, so the quick link is engaged, and I'm as curious as you guys are. I'm gonna put a towel below, because I think we're gonna catch some dry runoff here. But between the wax chain, the Wolf Tooth, 40T, yeah, this feels like an absolute chore. I don't feel the savings yet. But like I said, Silca does recommend basically a 15-minute ride just to get the chain worn in with the wax. So I think there's going to be a little bit of growing pains as we get this loosened up. It's actually already starting to feel easier. All right, so it's taken a little bit of fiddling just to index the gears again, but as you can see, big ring to smallest cog. And then, not that you'd ever want to do this in your right mind, but I can get big to big, and I don't think that's excessive tension on the rear derailleur there, so it looks like the chain length is adequate. And then if we pop it on down to the small ring, can we climb all the way to that 30 to 40? And we can. So that's going to get me up those steep single track sections. We mentioned that B tension screw earlier, and where that comes into play is if we were to go little to little, you can see that this tension here is just barely hanging on, and that's with the B tension screw wound in all the way. If I wound that back out, this would be drooping like a wiener dog. So that's where the utility of that B tension screw comes into play. So I'm going to have to get a little bit of drip lube onto that quick link before I take this outside. Just over the course of 10 minutes of indexing the gears though, things are loosening up as far as how that tension feels across the chain. It's starting to move a lot better, so it's making me feel optimistic. So I hope you guys enjoyed me revealing to you the internet's worst kept secret, the Wolf Tooth Road Link rear derailleur capacity extender. That is a mouthful, but between the aero bars, the wax chain, the 11 through 40 cassette, I feel like I'm ready for race day, which is a pretty good thing because the Black Fork Gravel Grinder is a week from today, and I feel like my fitness has come along. Certainly my COVID lungs have gotten a little bit better since then, so I'm ready for race day. Stick around for my next video because it's going to be a review of the Black Fork Gravel Grinder. Can't wait. So I hope you guys enjoyed me showing you the internet's worst kept secret, that Wolf Tooth Road Link derailleur